Our HTTP GET request class has worked out pretty well. Certainly it's saved us a lot of coding time by wrapping up this functionality in a nice reusable class. But as I mentioned when we created it, it would still need a fair amount of work to make it robust enough to be used in a production app. Although I wouldn't discourage you from going through the effort of building a production-worthy version of this class, I do want to make you aware that there are a number of good open source packages that can save you the time and effort. As it turns out, you actually have quite a few good options out there. For a long time, a project called ASI HTTP Request was the de facto open source library that most people turned to. And to this day, it's unmatched in its feature set. Unfortunately, a few months back, the author decided that he didn't have time to continue to develop it, so the project has essentially been abandoned. So because of this, I can't endorse this project for new development. However, a number of other projects have popped up. A project called AF Networking is currently the most popular choice, but there are a number of other libraries like MK Network Kit, and another one called MB Request written by some friends of mine over at Mobiata. All offer things to like, so I would check each one out to see which one would best fit your needs. Since AF Networking has got a pretty good following, I'll quickly show you how we could use this in our project. Running a quick Google search for AF Networking will bring you to its location on GitHub. And from here you can download the source files, view its documentation, find some sample code. Now I already have a copy on my desktop, and you'll find a copy in your working files directory as well, but I would recommend going out to GitHub to grab the latest version as open source libraries rapidly change. So I'll take this whole directory and drag and drop that onto my supporting files group. Say copy, create groups, and add it to the iMusic target. AF Networking is not an ARC-enabled codebase, but don't fear, we can still use it just fine. It just requires a little additional configuration. So highlight the root of your project and go to Build Phases and select Compile Sources, and this will show you all of the source code in our project. And the AF Networking classes are the ones all prefixed with AF, or in this case, plus AF. But I'll highlight all of these and press the return key on your keyboard, which will pop open a little window. And I need to add a compiler flag called fno_obj_arc. This flag just lets the compiler know that these classes aren't ARC-enabled code. Say done. And let's just Command B to compile, make sure everything compiles correctly, and it does. Alright, so I'll switch back to the music store service. Just to get a quick sense for how AF Networking works, we'll replace our fetch artwork for album method with an AF Networking based implementation. Let me first go up to the top of our class and import this class called AF Image Request Operation. AF Networking provides a class specifically for retrieving images. And I'll replace our implementation altogether. But we'll start by creating a URL, just like we did previously. We will create a URL request. I'll then create an instance of AF Image Request Operation, using its image request operation with request, passing in the NSURL request, and then it takes a block that will pass back an image. And inside of that block, we'll simply invoke our completion block like we were doing previously. Finally, I'll call operation.start to actually kick off the request. So this looks fairly similar to what we had previously, but the AF Networking implementation is certainly more robust. Let's just compile, make sure that looks good, and run the app again. And this should hopefully provide us the same implementation that we had before. So I'll have to search for a new artist, and I'll type Spox. And there we go. We can see that the AF image request operation has worked successfully, and I can save that to the list, and it looks good. All right, so you're now aware of some open source alternatives to creating your own NSURL connection wrapper. The ones I've mentioned are all good and worth checking out, and I'm sure you'll find others out there as well. So we've covered a lot of ground in this chapter. You should definitely have a good sense for what it takes to call web services in an iOS app. Networking is the lifeblood of many, if not most, iOS apps, so dive in and have fun.